Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at some carburetors. If you saw the last video, you know we are creating some more bad advice by taking the fuel injection off of this car and putting a blow-through carburetor on it that we're going to home build. So we're going to have a couple videos here looking at what needs to be done to build a blow-through carburetor. I thought we'd take a minute this morning and take a look at the carburetor that I have that's going to go on this thing and why I chose it and how it's different than a standard Holley. So what we have here is a standard Holley. This is a 650 double pumper. This is double pumper because it's got two accelerator pumps. This is a 4777, just a standard 650 double pumper. I bought this carburetor because this is the one that I was going to use on it. Bought it on Facebook Marketplace for really cheap. But then I found this carburetor also on Facebook Marketplace. So this is a Barry Grant carburetor, and we're going to take a look this morning at the differences between the two and why this makes a better starting point than the 650. Take a look at these. Obviously you can see this one has a choke on it. So for a blow-through carburetor, you don't want the choke horn. You'd have to mill this, cut this off, and then you'd also have to fill the hole where the choke leakage comes through. So kind of the plan for this was to buy a HP main body, which is basically like this. So these main bodies have this nice smooth rounded edge, where these have these very sharp edges. And since air flows kind of like water does, it's nicer to have these rounded edges. This also has the removable air bleeds. Obviously doesn't have a choke horn. This has the down leg boosters. See, these boosters run down leg, whereas this 650 has straight leg boosters. So the down leg boosters put this in a better spot for the airflow. This also has the billet metering blocks. It's hard to tell here, but these float bowls have a kick out here on the bottom, and from what I understand, they'll hold about 10% more fuel than a standard float bowl. So let me pull the primaries off of these things and we'll take a look at the differences on the inside. So if we take this apart, you can see that this float bowl, here's the other thing you get when buying on Facebook Marketplace. So the guy I bought this from said, oh, it was on a running car. Yeah, does that look like it's been on a running car? And it smells like tarnish, tarnish, whatever it is. This has a plastic float in it. I don't know if you can see that. This has a plastic float in it. Some of them have metal. Neither one of these will work for a blow-through because you are pressurizing this. When these are put together, they're put together with atmospheric pressure, and you put pressure on the outside of them, they crush. And they crack, and then they sink, and it won't work. This is the standard metering block with the power valve in it. This power valve they have numbers on, so this is a 6.5. That means at 6.5 inches of vacuum, it will open that power valve, allowing more fuel into here, which goes into the these small holes here are the power valve channel restrictors. And so that's how you get the supplemental fuel from the power valve opening. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit. and that goes through these main wells out to this, which then feeds this hole, which feeds the boosters. So that's kind of how a standard Holly is set up. And we pull the hole off of this one. We can take a look at the difference. This one has a brass float in it, which will be replaced. I have a nitrofill float to go with that, to replace that. But you can kind of see the difference in the size of the bowls. So this bowl does hold a little more fuel. We'll be replacing these accelerator pumps. This is a 30cc. We'll be replacing those with 50s. But here's the interesting part, these metering blocks. So this also has a regular 6.5 power valve in it. And these are the channel restrictors. And this billet metering block is nice in that it has replaceable bleeds in it for the emulsion. Where the standard Holly just has two little holes. A lot of people will just block those off, but with these you can tune it. So some people will put a blank and then a bleed and a blank and a bleed, and you can tune the way the emulsion works when it comes through the main channel up to the boosters on here. So this is called the vent whistle. So the vent comes in here. This just puts the what's coming through the vent into the fuel bowl. And of course we have the jets. So you can kind of see that the jets feed these main channels, and these channel restrictors go in at an angle that also feed the main channel. So we are going to be putting a boost reference power valve. So the way this one is set up, that a standard power valve works, is there is a hole in here that is really hard to see, but there is a hole in here that creates vacuum in here that comes from this hole here. So underneath the throttle blades you have vacuum. The vacuum hole runs here, which is what closes your power valve. And when you open the throttle, the vacuum goes away underneath the throttle blades, and the vacuum goes away to this, and the spring will open it, thereby allowing extra fuel into these channels, which feeds the same main well as the jets. So that's kind of the basics of like the main circuit on these carburetors, and this is mostly what we're going to be messing with for the blow-through stuff. Another thing I wanted to point out on the stock versus the Barry Grant is the sizing on some of this stuff. So you can see the booster feed on these, they're kind of swedged in, so they're larger on the front, but the main channel for these is, so if you take a drill bit, you can kind of, so that's the size of the main channel on that one, and this is the size of the main channel on this one that feed the boosters. And if you take a look at the difference on those, we're looking at 137, 138-ish versus 156. So you can see that the main booster channels are considerably larger in this, and the same deal goes for what feeds those channels. If you look at the size of these channels, they are also considerably larger. So the main feed through the metering block is at least where the output is larger. So I'm not sure that the channel is, but it probably is. So we're not going to mess with that. In the case of stock Holleys, a lot of people will pull these plugs out and drill that channel larger too. I'm hoping that these billet metering blocks have enough in them, and with the adjustability of the emulsion, that we don't have to drill these out. But being that it's on E85, we're going to need to run about 30% more fuel than you would on gasoline. So we're going to start with not drilling them out and see where it goes from there. The other change we're going to be making, both of these carburetors have progressive linkage, so that the front barrels open first and the progressive linkage opens the back. We're going to be changing this one out for a adjustable but one-to-one linkage, so it will open them both at roughly the same time. So we'll be changing that out as well. So that's it, y'all. That's the main differences between a standard Holley and the Barry Grant that we've chosen for this build. So over the next couple videos, depending on how much I can fit in a video, there may be 1 or 2 videos for the build of this carburetor, but we'll be drilling out the power valve channel restrictors, putting in a boost reference power valve, changing out the 30cc for 50cc's, changing out the linkage for the one-to-one, putting some bigger squirters in it, and that will basically be the starting point for the E85 carburetor on this. We'll also be covering the fuel system upgrade. We have new lines, we have new regulator, so we have all the good stuff that'll go with flowing enough E85 to this carburetor with some boost, and we'll see if we can go fast. All right, thanks y'all.